Let's talk about the Samsung Galaxy S9. So the S9 launch event is actually happening, guess when? Next week, which is, wow, I can't believe how fast time flies. It's crazy. But yeah, the official Samsung Galaxy S9 unveil event is happening on Sunday, February the 25th. This is the official invitation, by the way. Now, I've actually done a Final Leaks and Rumors episode on the S9, so do watch that video first. It's almost 20 minutes long. And same as I've been doing for the past, I think, 5 years, I cover everything in this series from the design, the display, full specs, battery price, special features, everything you need to know up to the smallest detail. But since that video, we've had quite a few more details, quite a few more leaks on the S9, which I do want to mention in this video, including a full reveal by Orange Romania. Bună treabă, Orange. No, not really. So yeah, sit back and enjoy the latest leaks on the S9. Okay, so starting off with the main leak, Orange Romania accidentally posted an S9 product page, the official S9 product page on their website, on their store. And on that page, of course, that most of the details on the S9 were actually visible. And those details were the Quad HD Infinity Plus display, the 5.8 inches essentially, and 2960 by 1440p resolution display, 560 ppi, and also support for 4G+, as well as that interchangeable aperture on the smaller S9. The camera is still 12 megapixels, but again, this is really interesting, the fact that it's an interchangeable aperture camera. Now, this is something that we've seen leaked before. So essentially, the larger S9 Plus will be getting a dual camera module, same as the Note 8. However, the smaller S9 will be getting a single camera module, but with an interchangeable module. So an f1.5 or an f1.5 and an f2.4 aperture essentially, so both of them. Now, in case you're wondering why that might be, well, we don't know exactly because obviously it hasn't been released and Samsung hasn't said anything about this interchangeable camera module. But my guess and the most logical reason for Samsung to include this is because of the portrait mode / bokeh effect. So since you have two actual different apertures, that bokeh would actually look much more realistic than the digital processed one that you get from the Pixel 2 or even the iPhone 10. And of course that with the dual camera module on the larger S9 Plus, you would actually be able to zoom in twice or maybe even more, essentially optical zoom without losing any quality, which would be missing from the smaller S9. Now on that Orange leak, there were quite a few false details which I do want to mention. So for example, they mentioned 3D Touch as being on the S9, which of course is false because that's Apple's naming scheme for their pressure sensitive displays. Now the S8 actually did have this, kinda, so it did have a pressure sensitive display, but it was only on the home button area and not for the entire display. And then also they got the CPU model wrong as being the Exynos 8095 as opposed to the Exynos 9810, which is what we're going to see in the international models of the S9. But yeah, other than this, Evan Blass also posted quite a few press renders of the S9 and the S9 Plus. So we get quite a few showing the front, quite a few showing the back, among with that brand new color, blue color. Now, some of these renders do look a bit weird. So here's the renders right next to an S8, and as you can see, the bezels, the side bezels look very, very thick, even thicker than on the S8, which I obviously doubt is going to be the case. So in the end, the S9 is most likely going to look like the display panel leaks we've seen a while ago. So similar to the S8, but thinner, not thicker bezels, and a more square-off design, which would actually resemble the Samsung Galaxy Note 8 more than the S8. And now here's something very interesting. So back in late 2016, Samsung started licensing a super hydrophobic glass coating. And essentially this coating is just, it's amazing because it repels almost every single droplet of water from the surface. So here's a comparison video of how a regular glass behaves when it's submerged in mud. And now here's how a treated glass behaves with this coating. So yeah, there's almost no mud sticking to the treated glass. So this is something that might be included on the S9. And if you're taking a shower with the S9 or you usually just take it to the pool, this would be a really useful feature to have because water would just not stick to the S9's display, and you'll be able to use the S9 straight away without you having to, find a towel and wipe the water off. So this is a really useful feature to have. I really want this, by the way. There's no smartphone that can do this at the moment, and I think if a smartphone is water resistant, as the S9 and the iPhone 10 are, and many others, I think it should have this. They should have had this from the S7 Edge, for example, and the S7. But other than that, we've also had the leak showing the updated DeX dock. So this was posted by Evan Blass, and it might just be called the DeX Pad. Now, the main difference, you can probably tell that, this one is actually sitting flat instead of being, a dock, hence its pad name. And the reason for this would be that you could presumably use this as a trackpad and even a keyboard for your computer. Now, using this as a keyboard is a bit tricky, especially if you want to use it as a trackpad at the same time. So essentially, you would no longer need to bring a mouse with you just a keyboard and a monitor, and that's pretty much it. So the S9 is ready to transform into a desktop, kind of. You won't be running Windows or macOS on this thing, or Linux. It's still Android with Samsung's overlay, but still, the fact that you can connect this to a monitor and then also connect some external devices via the 2 USB ports is a very, very useful feature to have, which I'm guessing a very specific niche of customers will enjoy. Also, speaking of leaks, the official cases for the S9 and the S9 Plus have been leaked. And here we can see again that the main difference between the regular S9 and the S9 Plus, apart from the actual size difference, is that dual camera module, which is only present on the S9 Plus. And then finally, in terms of the pricing, so recent reports are suggesting that the S9 and the S9 Plus are going to be around $150 or £100 more expensive than the S8 and the S8 Plus from last year, sadly. Okay, so in the end, as a conclusion to the S9 is mostly an S8s. So we pretty much get the same design. We get an improved camera for low light with that f1.5 aperture. Also crazy fast slow motion, and of course 4K 60 video. So those are some pretty big changes if you care about the camera. We also get improved performance, but sadly it still comes with 4 GB of RAM, the regular S9, and we do get 6 GB of RAM, so same as on the Note 8, but that's on the S9 Plus. Now this is usually okay for a smartphone, but keep in mind that Samsung's overlay, so TouchWiz, which is now called Samsung Experience, but anyway, Samsung's overlay is the heaviest overlay or skin on any Android smartphone. So say hello to lag, say hello to bloatware, and say hello to, or pretty much goodbye to updates. Well, that's unless Samsung decides to heavily optimize their skin for the S9. But I highly doubt that. But yeah, we also get, apart from this, we also get dual speakers for the first time, tuned by AKG. This was leaked on the box leak. So the earpiece is more than likely going to act as the second speaker, similar to how the iPhone 7 and newer do it. But a big question is, should you upgrade from the S8 or the Note 8 to an S9 or S9 Plus? Probably not. But if you're coming from something older, that's maybe an S7, an S7 Edge, or an S6 and so on, the S9 Plus would be actually a pretty solid choice, especially considering that big redesign and that display upgrade. But personally, I'm really curious. The thing I'm curious to see the most when it comes to the S9 is actually in terms of the camera. I really want to see how good the camera is and how it compares to the Pixel 2 XL and the iPhone 10. So definitely subscribe if you want to see an in-depth zone of that camera comparison, same as I've done before. The previous ones were between 20 to 30 minutes long, so they were really, really in-depth. I did a lot of tests, including bitrate comparisons, panorama, time-lapse, and so much more. But yeah, let me know in the comments how long I should make these camera comparisons. What's the longest camera comparison you would comfortably watch? Let me know in the comments. And also, what do you personally think about the S9 and the S9 Plus if you're getting one? But yeah, this has been pretty much it. If you enable notifications, by the way, don't forget to do that so that you get notified as soon as a brand new video comes out. You get a cool notification on your smartphone. Join the hashtag notification squad. But yeah, this has been pretty much it. So if you like, if you enjoyed it, let me know. I'm Daniel, and I'll see you guys in my next cool video. Yeah, signing out. Awkward ending. Cheers.